Hello, everybody. Glitch Reaper here again, and I just got off from my previous hangout with Intermittent of Doom here with Mo Withers mod.
Yes, we're doing another one.
Yes, we're continuing here, and yes, we will be getting to other stuff eventually. But
Last
right,
time we did the basic. Last time we did the basics, including showing the sculpture as well as some of the as well as a few of the mobs and the tools and weapons and armor and what they did.
yeah, and I may have overaccumulated a few things from stuff for rampaging. So while I'm tossing stuff away, would you like to mention what it is we're going to be going after in this particular one?
So in this one, we will be going after the generated structures as well as the wither cultists. And these are essentially, if you don't know who the wither cultists are, I think illagers. Only instead of abandoning the village just because they want to be left alone, they abandoned the village to follow a very forbidden cult. They follow the wither. They follow the teachings of the wither.
Yes, and of course that being one of the major enemies of the regular testificate villagers, you can see why they've been a bit apart. Now,
Yes.
uh,
If this was Dungeons and Dragons, these guys would be chaotic evil.
definitely. Now,
Because
I'm trying to
they're quite
find the
nasty.
cultists here.
There's a total of three of them. There's the regular wither cultist. There's the high priest and the wither cardinal.
Okay, let me see. Got the high priest, cardinal, and the regular wither cultists.
So first start with the regular wither cultist.
Yes. And this is what you'll probably be finding in your world eventually. Now, is a
They
structure associated
spawn
with this, but
they spawn at
apparently good luck
nighttime.
finding it.
They spawn at nighttime, by the way. The
Okay.
regular wither cultists. You'll find them about as often as most regular mobs. So expect to fight these guys often.
Yes,
They will they
they'll
will
show up at night
attempt
too, in addition
they
to
will
something
attempt
else.
to dismember they will attempt to dismember you for being a heretic against the wither.
Yes, if the model looks familiar, again, he kind of used an advanced version of the Illagers from later, only they seem to have a bit more color on them, or at least this guy does.
Yeah. Worshipping the wither doesn't have immediate effects, surprisingly enough. Like these guys are newbies, but these guys can vary between newbies and veterans. Well, although veterans tend to go for being high priests, but regular cultists, they have 3 attack. They also have 20 HP, and they have the weird ability of climbing walls like a spider.
Yeah, I've got about
Like
five
like
cultists
uh
here,
like
and
get like put a villager on top of a pillar, and they'll climb up to get him.
would you believe that I was going to try to experiment with a spider, and I got a spider jockey first try?
Okay, that's a little freaky.
Yeah, it really is. Okay, and as we was trying to also demonstrate, they're very aggressive towards villagers specifically. So,
Villagers and iron golems and players specifically.
okay, now they're moving in on. For a moment, there's a bit of a delay.
If the villager's on a precipice, the cultists will literally climb up to get to him.
Yes. So, in fact, let me throw a little sand down here. See just how far they can climb. Okay, that should mean that they're still within aggro distance. So, do you see your enemy up there or not? Maybe I went a little too far. Uh, I guess if you put it up high enough, they might not see. Nope, nope. He's thinking about it. He's thinking about it. The cultist is thinking about it. He's going. Do I actually attack him all the way up there? I'll move him just a little bit further down so you can see him. Now do you finally see him? Okay, now they're grouping. They're going up. They're having some technical difficulties, but they are trying. Up there, they got him.
It's,
He's a
hila-
goner now.
it's hilarious because you wouldn't expect a biped like this to climb walls. Well, for some strange reason, by worshipping the wither, they can climb walls.
That is a bit bizarre because the wither flies, he doesn't climb.
Well, I guess these guys are as you could say, being very devoted and using their bare fingers to like scale sheer cliffs.
Now let's see how
They
well
also
they
take
go up
now
against the
they
Iron
also don't
Golem.
take they also do not take fall damage when they land on the ground.
Okay, now that's more like an actual wither because their hovering ability allows them to avoid fall damage.
Yes, these guys take no fall damage. Uh,
Apparently,
being
they also drop baked potatoes.
yeah, it's just randomly and emeralds sometimes,
Uh,
like
getting some good
as an
potatoes,
uncommon as
but
an
I haven't
uncommon
seen the
drop.
emerald yet. But I still have their spawn eggs, so
Now,
let's see if we can do that a few times. I
so
am letting an Iron Golem do this.
Iron Golem will annihilate them.
Ah, I finally saw the emerald drop. I just wanted to see it happen at least once.
It's considered an uncommon drop.
Okay. But apparently does not
Next,
require a
so
player kill, just more rare than the potatoes. Okay.
so the next one is the High Priest. This guy has 80 health.
Okay,
He
so we
also
go
spawns.
so we go
He
from
also,
a regular cultist to high priest and then to cardinal.
so the High Priest, he has 80 health. He also has 5 attack power. Plus, he also inflicts the Wither effect like a Wither skeleton.
And he
And
has the high priest has 60 HP, so it's kind of intermediate. Apparently he has a much higher chance to drop his emerald.
yes, and this guy also he like this guy also spawns at nighttime, though he spawns as often as witches do.
Ah, so you might see him decently often. Now, will this one make it? I
This
don't
guy
know.
this guy is is tougher than than the regular cultist.
Yes, I may have to
He still gets wrecked by
assist.
an iron golem.
May have to slightly assist this iron golem because he's lost a lot of health, but I want him to recharge a bit. So you just recharge there a bit, and I'll find the regular healing potions. There we go. That's a bit faster. Thank you, damage indicators, for being nice. Okay, so we've seen the High Priest, who, as you may have seen before, has kind of a wither skull on his head. Like he's wearing a wither skull to show his devotion to the wither.
Yes, he wears a wither skull to show his devotion. And these two guys are basically the base form of the entire hierarchy. But there are there are of course the leaders of the cult. They're called cardinals. Wither
Yes,
cardinals.
uh
They're a boss mob.
they
And
are considerably more angry. You can see his robes are a bit different. Like he has like symbols of the wither on him, like wither faces.
yes,
And unlike the previous ones, this guy has special abilities like the power to fire wither skulls, summon uh, the the lost skulls, and he seems to also show up with a bit of a.
he can call
Uh,
cultists on his foe.
yeah, I was gonna say he
He
certainly has
also
an
has
entourage.
he also has a strafing levitation ability.
Oh yeah, he already showed that off nicely.
Like he moves in a circle around his opponent as he shoots wither skulls, summons lost wither skeleton skulls, and then calls cultists. And this guy also hates iron golems and villagers too. But
Yes. Now where's that
these guy
cardinal out of these?
might also notice that this guy does have the gray illager skin.
Yeah, he seems to have disappeared around here.
This that's because of the fact that he is fully turned, unlike the other cultists.
Yes, he's gone all. Okay, he
He's
escaped over
gone.
here.
He's gone all the way. He's gone all the way.
So let me summon one right next to him. If I could, grass, be cool, be cool, grass, out of the way, grass. I just want to let him actually hit this guy. There we go.
And
Before I
now
think he was taken down before he
might
could.
want to turn it. You might also want to turn it to midnight, like time set, time set 18000 because he has a bonus ability during full moons.
Ah, okay.
So do that, and when he's below half health,
Time set what exactly?
Time set 18,000. So basically the first full moon. Like, and even detects whether or not it's a full moon for this particular ability to happen.
Okay. So he's powered
So
up.
now
Or
you
should be.
now you need to bring him below half health and have him be attacking something, or actually I think bring him down to a quarter of his health. It's like hit him repeatedly until he goes down.
Oops. I kind of demolished him. I'm gonna have to punch him down. So I'm gonna have to punch you with your own spawn egg. Boing, 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 boing. Behold, the age of spam clicking still works in 1.8.
This guy would be a nightmare to fight in 1.9.
Maybe it's not the first full moon.
It is the first full moon.
Well, I was in this world a little bit before, so it might have thrown it off.
Bring him down to below a quarter of his health.
Oh, he's below that, all right.
He has 150 HP.
He's down to 8 and he still hasn't turned. I know what's supposed to happen, he's just not turning.
He doesn't have an attack target, that's why. Give him something to attack. A villager.
Okay. Let me see here. You just, well, let's do this part again. Okay, I have that.
Give him something to shoot at. A villager.
Darn you. Does that thing. Okay, there we go. Okay, I think he went there. Yep, he is converted into the wither.
Yes, this is a special ability he uses only on full moons. When below a quarter of his health, he will turn into the wither. He will turn into an avatar of the wither. And now the wither is in your world, and he summons twice as many cultists twice as quickly, and he still summons in the lost skulls.
Yes, this is a very chaotic battle, and the thing is that he's otherwise a normal wither, but with a few extra bonus abilities at this time, because he's still basically the cult leader. Although he does not turn back, so
he does actually turn back. If the time runs out and it turns to daytime and it goes to the next day, he will turn back into the cultist, into the cardinal. So like if the time runs out and it goes back to daytime, he will turn back.
Okay, so let's see if that works.
So time set 0. He should automatically turn back into the wither cardinal.
Okay, he's back into the wither cardinal. And the interesting thing is it seems to have not exactly regenerated him up all the way. Like he apparently is still accepting some battle damage that he had before for some reason.
Yeah, that's intentional. He keeps some of his scars.
Okay. So
now you might notice that when you kill him, you might also notice that when you kill him, he drops a whole bunch of stuff.
Yeah, I insta-whacked one, and he dropped a ton of summon wither skull items.
Yeah, those are basically throwable wither skulls.
So it's basically kind of like the lost skulls, only a bit different.
No, wither skulls, as in you get to throw wither skulls like the wither.
Ah, so you just toss some.
He drops these. This is the only way of obtaining these in survival mode at the moment. You fight a cardinal. Now, how do you fight a cardinal? These guys cannot be summoned in via the regular means, like with other withers we'll be showing. But you find these guys in special generated structures called cultist fortresses.
Yes, now these are apparently somewhat rare-ish. Do you have a particular biome that they tend to show up more often with?
Nope. They spawn anywhere in the overworld.
Okay, so this is just explore around, find something.
But they're incredibly rare. Like, I think you'll have a higher chance of finding a dungeon.
Yeah, well, right. Well, I've noticed just how much I've really spawned in a large island that's surrounded by various forms of ocean. So
it does not generate in water.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, it wasn't that. I was just thinking of how interesting this would be as kind of a survival island location or something. But looking around, I'm pretty sure I'll be able to spot the structure in the next biome over because it's iced over and therefore very, very white. Very, very white. It's incredibly white and shiny.
Well, There are several structures. I will go over every single one of them. You don't have to find them all, but
No,
there's
I'll just
quite
be
a
looking
few.
around while you're discussing the structures. Because
So
if I'm in this biome and I see
keep in
one, it should
mind,
show up very easily.
keep in mind that all these structures have custom chests that have their own that have a custom loot. So the loot you find in these structures will be will be randomized and unique. So the first one I have to note is the Dud Fort. This is the most common structure you'll find in the Mo Withers mod. It's basically a failed building. Like
Okay.
it's just like it's literally just a 3 block tall building
And
that
I'm
is
getting some
five
weird
blocks across.
generation here as things
It's
are
5 blocks
having issues
across.
keeping up.
It
Because
it
I
looks like
may
it
not have
looks
thrown enough
like
at it.
it looks like a castle that a 5-year-old tried to build,
Hmm. So it
and it's also gotten worn down as
looks like the
well.
fort that never was.
It's the fort that never was, and it has a chest it has a chest in the very center with mediocre loot, and on top of it is a skeleton spawner.
Whoa! Sudden surge.
And these are made of stone bricks, but they have evidence of wear and tear. Like some of them are cracked stone bricks, others are mossy. So these structures have been around for a bit. That's their
Okay,
lore.
so they're kind of like ancient structures.
They're pretty old, yes. They're not new. They're definitely not new. The next one is actually the Nether Dud Fort. It's basically a duplicate only for the Nether. There's no wear and tear on this one. It's Nether brick, and the chest loot is Nether centric, and the spawner on top is a blaze spawner instead.
Okay, so you'd be able to spot that pretty easily because it'd be very Nether themed.
Yes, it's in the Nether. You'll find it in the Nether, and like what's up with blazes always defending anything made of Nether brick?
It's like their thing. I mean, you kind of have to cook
I
netherrack to
guess
get
it'd
nether
be
brick, so I
I
guess they're
guess
thinking they want to cook
due
it
to
even
what
more.
they are. I guess due to what they are being fire elementals, that they were constructed to defend structures like these in the Nether.
And the ones, for that matter, that involved cooking to make them. So therefore, they're very fire orientated even then.
Yes, but there's so both types of dud forts will be the most common ones you will find in the Mo Withers mod. They have pretty basic.
Hmm.
They have pretty basic loot and nothing game breaking. Just dungeon loot, some dungeon loot with some added things in it.
Oh my goodness! When you see this later, the rare suspended snow layer has happened.
Okay, that is funny when that happens.
It is always funny when it happens. Yes.
In fact, you know what? I have my workspace up just to check what the loot is, but I don't want to say it because because I don't want to say it because that might spoil it for people.
No, it might be fair loot, but it might be more Nether themed. But either way, kind of an alternative to Nether forts is finding one of
Well,
these itty bitty ones and getting a little loot.
yes. So the next structure is actually called a Watchtower. Now, these look. Now these would have. Now these Watchtowers have a lot of similarities to the Battle Tower in Battle Towers. Only there's no boss at the top.
Yeah, I've seen
If
those.
they're not tall enough. I've shown them to him before, and these things can get pretty tall. Like their minimum size is 2 stories, and those ones are decent looted. I have decent loot.
I'm having some
Like
wacky things here.
each
It's,
floor, each floor has a spawner, as well as a few chests. The first floor has 2 chests. The second one has 3.
yeah,
And
actually,
this
I've
and
actually
the
found
ones
some.
above have.
I've actually found some battle towers from the mod battle towers that did not have a boss. They just were there and they had the spawner. So this would actually make it very similar, just because that did occasionally happen with the mod. I think he eventually corrected that.
So just to say right now, the random mobs that you can find in these towers, more often than not, you will find zombies. The spawner to harbor zombies. So most of the time it'll be zombies. Um, three. More. Less often you'll find spiders or skeletons. Sometimes you'll find creepers. Sometimes you'll find cave spiders. Sometimes you'll find wither cultists, and very rarely you'll find wither high priests, like 1 in 18.
Or something like that. So it is one of those places that you might wind up finding
These
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 particular priests.
and these towers do contain pretty sweet loot. Like you can find some pretty nice stuff in them. Like I'm gonna say right now, there's diamonds, emeralds, iron ingots, gold ingots, bones, rotten flesh. I don't know if those would be good constitute for good for as good loot.
Yeah,
String
some loot.
bucket, golden apple, not the gapple one, the regular variant. Uh, all three of horse armor variants can be found in there too, and it can go all the way to 10 floors. This tower, and if it has a 10th floor, then instead of generating a 10th duplicate floor, it generates a finalized floor that has a boss at the top. Now
Okay,
the
so it will
boss.
definitely finalize the boss if it goes all the way.
Now this boss will actually change it. Will actually randomly be random. So like most of the time, the boss you'll find at the top will be a wither, like a regular wither. It'll just come for the spawner, 1 to 4 of them. You'll have to fight them.
Hmm.
Other times it'll be the earth wither, the air wither, the fire wither, or the water wither.
So it will be one of the upcoming withers.
Yes. And let me just say, fighting any one of those guys is a living nightmare, especially the air weather, because they throw you everywhere. They like pick you up and toss you around. It's hell.
Well, either way. Probably
So
I
let
think
us
that's about
move.
everything for
Let us
this, although is there any other
let's move.
structures?
Well, of course, as is tradition, there is another variant of the Watchtower called the Nether Watchtower. These ones are made of nether brick instead of cobblestone, and the glass is replaced with nether brick fences. And the spawners more often than not will be blazes. Sometimes they'll also be pigmen. Other times
Hmm.
they'll be skeletons. Other times they'll be wither cultists, and sometimes they'll also be wither high priests. And
I
the loot
think
is
my automatic assignment for this profile didn't put in enough memory. So
yeah,
I may have to power that up later. So
the
next
chest.
time.
The chest, of course. The chest contents are nether centric, and if it reaches to 10 stories in height, the boss at the top will most of the time be a wither cardinal, so you can find them there too.
Okay, so so
But
so
other
so they
times,
might show up there, or you
but
might
other
get a more
times you'll get,
nether-centric one.
but other times you'll get the fire wither, the magma wither, the blaze wither, or God forbid you'll get the demented wither. That thing is a nightmare.
In other words, you'll get very nether-centric withers.
That thing is a living nightmare to fight. It has 3,000 HP.
Oh, so you're definitely gonna need a sword, if not bigger.
Yes. And there is one last structure I might have mentioned it a couple times called the Cultist Fortress. Now, you don't have to search for it. It's too rare for that.
Well, that and I'm
But
having some technical difficulties
I can
apparently right now.
describe I can describe it. It is a full-on fort. Like you know how the Dud Fort was a failed building? Well, this one is a Dud Fort that did not fail.
Okay, so it's one
And
of them that actually did succeed.
it is over and it is the fortress of the cultists. Like you'll find them everywhere in there. And it contains some notable buildings including a forge, 2 barracks, and a central altar, as well as 6 lamps.
That's lamps.
Yes, six torch posts. They're very high, so mob spawning is still possible in there, but
Okay.
it allows for some lightage. Like even they need to see sometimes. But the underneath of
So I
the
guess they don't
cultist
necessarily have natural night vision.
yes, tons of cultists spawn here as well as the fort altar, sometimes containing a cardinal. Like sometimes you'll find a cardinal spawner in the central altar.
Yeah, that would
It,
be, of course, rather bad.
that's
Because
that's
they'll unleash the entire cult on you, plus they have their own special attacks. Hello? Still there?
yes, I am.
Okay, I was going to
Um,
say, I know I'm
just
having technical
just
difficulties,
to
but still.
also note the fort. The fort does not end there. The altar itself, like there's pretty sweet loot in the fortress itself. Like I can tell you right now that in like the contents Like just in the barracks alone. The barracks can have diamonds, iron ingots, gold ingots, emeralds, bones, rotten flesh, saddles, all the horse armors,
Hmm.
as well as more saddles, iron axes, iron swords, cooked beef in mounds, sticks, sometimes a bow, arrows, golden apples, and redstone. Uh, the record 13, a record cat, name tags, and
But why
three
not the
horse
other
arms.
records? I mean, you've definitely got classic treasure
Dungeon
and
loot.
loot there.
Dungeon loot. I do have classic dungeon loot. But there's some pretty sweet things because that's not the beginning. The fort on top is not the end of it because there's a dungeon underneath, led to in the central altar by a ladder. To your left, at the entrance of the central altar, you'll find a ladder. To your right, you'll find another chest that has sweet loot. But if you go down the ladder, you will find hallways crawling with cultists and rooms full of treasure. I'm not going to say what rooms they are. Just you can go down there yourself and explore them. But it is a very, very dangerous place down there. So bring diamond armor. There's shit in the cultists. I'm not kidding. You go down there. There's like 20 of them waiting there for you.
So there's loads and loads of cultists,
And then
and
more
they're
spawn
special.
because there's spawn. And then more of them spawn because there's monster spawners everywhere.
Okay, so if you find their actual fort, it's going to be just tremendous.
Yeah, you're literally storming the gates of the base of the Wither cultists.
So,
Like
so,
you're
so since
fighting
you're on
you're
their
fighting
territory, there's going to be tons of them. Is there anything
yes.
past those
There
that you've already
is
mentioned for
now there's
structures?
one last structure. This was a added miscellaneous structure that I thought would add a bit of coolness to the world as well as a bit of how should I put it, liveliness to the cultists. It's called a wither statue. Basically a statue to the wither that the cultists themselves built to the wither. Because
Hmm.
why not build a giant statue out of wool with some iron and obsidian in it to worship what's essentially your deity. And this wither statue they're also pretty rare in the world, and they have they contain some pretty nice loot in them. Like the head, I'm going to say this right now. Inside the head, this might be a game-breaking thing, but in the head, there are 6 beacons.
That's pretty considerable, but also think of this. Because of the power of the withers, you're actually going to need those beacons to make the
Yeah,
sword.
if you can even find one of these. But inside the head is also a double chest, which you can find some pretty sweet stuff in there. Like you can find notch apples in that chest.
I was thinking, like wondering if they was going to, have wither
Emeralds,
skulls.
bread, apples, iron pickaxe, iron sword, iron, like an entire iron set if you're lucky enough, obsidian, coal blocks, and every single and the horse armors, and of course enchanted books.
Okay, so enhanced dungeon loot, but not necessarily like
Very good
wither
stuff.
skeleton
Well,
skulls, but
you will find really good stuff in there inside of that head, and there's also a chest in the tail as well. Like if you look at
hmm.
it, the
So
thing that
so
you might want to
examine
take
the
note.
wither statue that you find as the giant pixel art very thoroughly.
Yes, but take note of the gigantic mound of iron that makes up the base. You'll want to take that too, because those are iron blocks, and that's a lot of iron waiting to either be used for tools, armor, or iron golems.
Okay, so that structure is going to be a interesting one to look out because it's their kind of like
Here's
their treasure room statue.
and here's the tribute and here's and here's the description. Rare tributations to the Wither. These massive wool iron statues were built by the cultists to honor their master. Sweet loot can be found in in the tail and head, along with the structure containing lots of iron. So essentially,
Hmm.
so essentially, if you find one of these things, raid it.
But
Just
yeah, is there anything other than those you mentioned now, or is that pretty much it for the cultists and their structures? Again, because some of
they
these
will
are
be a
rare, I haven't
const.
actually seen any.
The cultists, when you have the Withers mod installed, the cultists will be a constant threat to you throughout your entire gameplay because they will be spawning in as much because regular ones will spawn in as much as other hostile mobs. So you'll be finding them everywhere, and they'll be climbing on your walls and getting into your house and pooping on your furniture. Okay, maybe not that bad. Maybe not that bad.
Okay, but anyhow,
They
kind of
they'll
like
be
at
they'll be
night,
they'll be making themselves a threat.
basically at
Yeah.
night you'll see the withered versions of things plus the withered cultist at anywhere as long as it's dark enough and at night.
God forbid you come across a deteriorator and a group of cultists.
That would be very bad.
Because
You
then one of the
definitely want some
cultists will
heavy weapons
decide
to
to
take
run.
them on.
Because then one of the cultists may decide to ride on his head, and then he'd drive him like a robot.
Okay, so that would be it. They can do that.
They can get on the back of a deteriorator, and then they add support for the deteriorator by
Oh
being
my
on its
gosh!
back.
Now that would be a combo because they're already like a double strength withered iron golem, and then you'd have the cultists adding backup support, especially if it happened to be a high priest
Fine.
or cardinal, where they'd be able to have like their ranged attacks, which is the wither skulls. So you'd have like just all sorts of withering going on.
Yes, God forbid it. God forbid that happens. And then you have like shrivels firing skull volleys at you as well from the sides. That
I'm
would just
kind
be
of
a
concerned
nightmare.
about those wanes because
The Waynes, their
their high
particularly
maneuverability and fire rate. That's the ones that I'm going.
their
That would be a
their
bad combo with the cult.
tenacious behavior and the fact that they constantly retreat.
Yes, they strafe you like crazy. So therefore they'd definitely be
But that
a
is
serious
it.
threat.
That is
Okay.
it for now. The next video that we'll be doing will be regarding a wither, and it might not be as long as these first two
Yeah.
because
Which wither
all
do
of
you
you just.
think will be the first one out of the next set?
I think I want to. I think I want to go. I think I want to go through the one through first through the elemental withers. So we'll start with the easiest one, which will be the fire wither.
Okay, and that's one that, as he said before, might show up in one of those structures in the Nether. So that's kind of relevant in the respect. It's one of the few that might actually show up with World Gen, rather than you having to make it with the Wither statue we showed before. Uh, but obviously, whenever I do this, I'll actually be making one.
That
So
being said, you probably would it would actually be easier for you to make it with a statue than to search for it.
yeah, because as you were saying before, these structures are rare because I didn't
And
have
the
too long
rarity
to look
of
around, but I did not find any,
the
so they're apparently
rarity
not very
also
common.
also the rarity of this of the 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 watchtower spawning alone is rare enough. But then the rarity of it additionally being a ten story watchtower is even more absurdly rare.
I think the better comparison isn't so much the yeah, my jumps are off right now. But anyhow, I think the better comparison isn't the battle towers from battle towers. I need to reset my location, but okay. Uh, I think it's actually more like if you've ever seen ore spawn with the special challenge dungeons or challenge towers in the
Oh,
danger
those things
dimension.
are those things are a living nightmare to deal with.
Yeah, but I think the comparison is more there because the number of floors really determines just how intense they are, and so if you have one that's at full strength, you get more like the bosses, but you also get more of the loot and more of the rewards. So in this case, you'd be fighting off against bosses only with a full tier version, but you'd also get more rewards by actually defeating the withers. So it would go kind of both ways.
All right, and that is it for now on this subject. That is all the structures. That is all the items. We will not be discussing the essences in their own video. We will discuss each of the essences when we go over their related wither.
Yeah, because that's mainly what they're for is to work with the withers, but they do have other effects for some of them.
They have
So
they
yeah,
have their uses outside of summoning.
yes, but we will couple them with the withers. So for now, this has been excuse me, lips again. It happens all the
Lips.
freaking time.
Our lips seem to fail us frequently.
Yes, it happens. It happens. It really does. It's an issue. We're not sure if we can do anything about it, but it's an issue. Anyhow, so this has been Interment of Doom here with me, Glitch Reaper, and we'll be signing off. So hope to hear from y'all later. So bye for now, everybody.
All right.
Okay, there we go.